If a micro apartment doesn't tickle your fancy and you've got the cash, why not go big? Say 10,000 square feet. We recently got a tour of one of the most expensive properties on the market in Boston.
I'm Tom Acatelli, the editor of Curb Boston. We're here today at 318 Beacon Street, one of the 5 most expensive listings in Boston proper right now. It has 10 bathrooms, 8 bedrooms, 9 fireplaces. It has 16-foot ceilings, 12-foot windows overlooking the Charles River. We're in the kitchen right now of 318 Beacon Street. Perfectly functional, of course not as grand as the other rooms, but still a modern kitchen. There's an elevator to all 5 floors, but as you can see, I'm taking the stairs. We're now in the master bedroom. While the building itself has what real estate brokers call bones dating back to 1881, it's thoroughly modernized. There's a shared roof deck upstairs that has more of these sort of staggering views of the Charles and the Longfellow Bridge out there. 318 Beacon can be yours.
Yes, it could be yours for a cool $8.5 million down from $9 million. All right, and speaking of 9, that's how many people are in for the Boston mayoral race to date. Boston City Councilor Mike Ross announced his intentions today, and State Representative Martin Walsh announced yesterday. And Marty Walsh joins us. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you've been talking about this for a while. Your name's come up. What is it? What is it about the urge to do this? What grabbed you?
I love the city of Boston. I love being in politics. I love helping people. And this opportunity that's presented itself, Mayor Menino was there for 20 years, and there hasn't been a lot of movement in the city of Boston. It's something that I've always aspired to, and this opportunity presented itself 2 weeks ago with Mayor Menino announcing he wasn't going to run again, and here we are tonight.
All right, so you're sort of out of the mold. You live in Dorchester. You got the Irish Catholic roots and all that.
Yes,
Irish,
I do. A little bit.
But I mean, is this going to be enough? We're now a minority majority city. Yeah. Can you represent everybody?
Absolutely. I mean, I do that today. My district is one of the most, if not the most diverse district in the entire House of Representatives, and I've done that for the last 16 years up on Beacon Hill. And I think this campaign is going to be based upon who can get into other neighborhoods. And I certainly feel that I have the best opportunity and the strength to be able to get into other communities and talk about my record, what I've done on Beacon Hill for the last 16 years, and move the city forward.
What are you most proud of that you've done on Beacon Hill?
I'm proud of a lot of different things. I'm proud of my substance abuse work. I've done a lot of work in substance abuse. Proud of my work in education and education reform in particular, working with education. I'm proud in so many different areas. Just the fact that I get to get up every morning and go to the State House and work at the State House, and being a member of the legislature, I'm proud of the fact that the people of my district have sent me back 9 times.
You were unflinching and unwavering on your support for gay marriage, yes. And that was a tough time on the Hill when that was being debated. But then you said that one of your toughest decisions was not to reinstate the death penalty. Really?
Yeah. Well, the death penalty. Both of those issues were big issues. The death penalty.
I remember.
The vote was 2 months after I got elected, and it was one of those things that when you're running for office, at least when I ran in the beginning, you have opinions and ideas on how you're going to change the world. And here we are. Here I am 2 months into my term, and we're debating the death penalty, whether or not to reinstate it. And there'd been some
right after the Jeffrey Curley
murder, and there'd been some high profile. And I literally go back and forth every single day until, as I learned about the issue and I came up, had different people talk to me, different experts talk to me, I decided to vote against the death penalty. Since that time, I've voted against it 4 times. I'm comfortable in my position. You mentioned gay marriage, probably my greatest vote, and because of allowing people or letting people have the right to marry. I look at that issue, and that issue was a civil rights issue. After the first debate, after the first night we voted, and it looked like it was heading towards the ballot, the DOMA bill, I was walking out, and there was a young man there, and he was crying. And I felt as I walked out of the State House, I said to myself, I have this right. If I want to get married, I have this right. And this poor man, he's a young man, it must have felt to him the whole world was against him. And I'm, that wasn't about me. And when I am done with politics, that is one of the votes that I'm most proud of.
We were just talking to one of your colleagues in the House, Representative Sean O'Connell, who thinks that these MBTA pensions should be made public. Do you?
Yes. I mean, I talked to Sean on the back. I wasn't aware of that until she brought it up, and I have to look into it. It kind of caught me off by surprise because everything is public today around the Commonwealth. You know, I know other pensions are public, and I also know that the salaries of all public employees are online, including mine and my staff's. So it's something that I'm going to look into when I leave here today.
It's a good issue. So you have strong union backing. You always have in your district. Your father was a union laborer.
Yes, he was.
Mayor Menino has had some tough negotiations with the unions. Boston Police, Boston Fire, and these people like their police and fire. They like, you know, but he's had to push back because it's not about the quality of the work. Never about the quality, it's about the cost. Can you do that?
No, and that's an issue that certainly has come up a few times. I mean, in my role as a union official, I've been able to negotiate tough contracts, and I've been able to work with both sides of the aisle. I think a lot of it is communication. How do you respect the other side of the aisle and work? I'm also, as a state lawmaker, I've worked on 16 budgets, and I understand the fact that we can't give the store away. And when it comes time to negotiation, I'll be a tough negotiator, I'll be a fair negotiator, and I think as long as we keep the lines of communication open and don't allow outside interests come in here, we can come up with good contracts.
I mean, as I don't have to tell you, public sentiment turned against both those unions.
Absolutely, and it was sad that it happened.
Protracted, years-long negotiations. They waited too long to settle it. Same thing happened in Wisconsin.
Yeah. It shouldn't have gone that long. I mean, and I'm not blaming. I don't want to sit here and blame Mayor Menino or his administration or the union side.
Can't blame Mayor Menino because he was the one.
No, he worked hard. He worked very hard in that. You know, I think that there has to be some realistic understandings of what we can do.
So you're not worried about losing your support if you push
Absolutely
back?
not. I mean, no, because what's happening is, as we're coming out of an economic crisis here in Massachusetts and in Boston, but we're not out of the woods yet. So this year's budget went up, I believe, 5.6%. I don't know what the forecast for next year's budget is. I know by looking at our numbers up on Beacon Hill, we're nowhere out of the woods yet. And, you know, we can't give the store away because, you know, I'm deemed a pro-union or pro-labor mayor. I'm going to be ultimately the chief executive officer of the city of Boston. And I think it's very important for me. I want to do a lot of things with the budget. I want to improve the schools. I want to improve the quality of life for people, improve the police force as far as getting more public safety officers out there. And I can't give the store away. And I won't give the store away.
We were just doing a story about these micro apartments, which are for rent. They're not for sale. And the city of Boston has limited the number of them, you know, largely because they're afraid maybe the developers are going to be making too much of it. But do you support them in general, the concept of it?
I mean, it's an interesting concept. But one thing that I think that we have to do is in the communities is come up with opportunities for first-time home buyers. And I think that, you know, for those micro units,
which is different. These are rentals.
Very different. But some of those units that are being built, the landowners or the building owners get tax breaks. So we're giving them tax breaks to build units of housing or bringing industry in here. Why can't we do something similar for first-time home buyers and creating?
I thought we already had that.
There's nothing permanent there. You know, there's programs that people can access, but I'm talking about putting a real tax break program to allow people to come into the city, or not necessarily come in, but buy housing in communities.
How do you feel about the East Boston casino referendum? Should the entire city get to vote on whether there's a casino built in East Boston or just the contiguous communities?
Well, when we passed that legislation up on Beacon Hill, we put that provision in there to allow cities or towns to ultimately have the vote. I feel that the people of East Boston ultimately have the right. I don't think they should be told by somebody in Dorchester or somebody in West Roxbury, some other part of the city, if they're in favor of the casino and you have the community.
We vote on things like this by referendum in the state all the time.
Yes, but it's a little different. When we built this, I mean, I'll give you a story. 1960, the New England Patriots were looking to possibly come into Dorchester. And they were going to build a stadium on what's now known as the Pope John Paul site. If that question were today, and the decision was, do we bring the Patriots to Boston, and do we let the entire city or the people of Dorchester vote on it? I would argue, and I'm a state rep from there, we should allow the people of Dorchester, because they're impacted the most by the traffic.
Should have gotten that thing. That was one of Mayor Menino's biggest mistakes, and I'll end it
this was that before
we should have had it in the
Menino.
waterfront. We blew that. All right.
I'm a season ticket holder, so it will be a lot shorter commute.
We blew it. Exactly. All right, Marty Walsh, great to have you. Good luck.
Thank you for having me.